Ladies and gentlemen, this is absolutely hilarious. 2,000 former DOJ officials call for Barr to resign. Bush 41 deputy AG says Barr's un-American. This is hilarious. So ever wonder why Democrats say, well, Muller's a Republican, James Comey's a Republican? Like, they don't get it. They don't understand. They do understand, but they want to pretend that they don't see what's happening. There are never Trump Republicans, okay? They don't like anything to do with Trump because they like people like Hillary Clinton. The never Trump Republicans are all right with Hillary Clinton. They're okay with Hillary Clinton. They'll vote. They might even vote for Clinton, many of them, in 2020, just like some of them did in 2016. Bill Kristol and Max Boot. Notice something. It's very interesting. Your favorite Bernie pundit, your favorite Bernie Sanders pundit. Now, I was the biggest Bernie Sanders booster on the internet, according to the Huffington Post, and the unofficial scribe of Sanders is the most hardcore voters, according to the Washington Post. That's what they called me. I'm voting Trump 2020. In one of my articles in the Federalist, I explain why Bernie voters should vote for President Trump. That's below. That's below in the pinned comment and description section. But you ever wonder why Bill Kristol and Max Boot voted for Hillary Clinton? Bernie Sanders voted for Hillary Clinton. So the left is a conglomerate of all these different factions that can't stand one another and have completely different viewpoints. And they're all going after William Barr and Trump. Okay, so 2,000 former DOJ officials call for Barr to resign. Bush 41. This is funny because he worked as Attorney General for Bush 41. But Herbert Walker Bush's Deputy Attorney General says Barr's un-American. Okay, so it went from 1,100 to 2,000 former DOJ officials. Who cares? They're really funny. They're like, well, 15,000 times Trump lied. If they did a fact check, I don't know, of President Obama drinking Flint water. So the Democrats, they're like, oh, yeah, he said both sides. He never said both sides. He never said both sides were equal or that the Tiki Torch people were good people. He never said those things, nor did he mean those things. That is a fantasy of people on the left who had nothing on Trump, and who had to kind of hide the abysmal record on race that Democrats have. Okay, far more abysmal than Trump. You can say whatever you want about his tweets, they have to create this fantasy where Trump is subliminally speaking. But then there's the Clinton's 3 a.m. ad that painted President Obama as somebody. This is Hillary Clinton, okay, who used an ad painting him as somebody breaking into a house at 3 a.m. So, and that was before the Southern primary in the 2008 Democratic primary. Then she spread a photo of then candidate Obama in African attire. She spread the birther myth. Now, when Trump did it, or when Trump did it, it was bad. I agree, bad. But Clinton actually utilized it against President Obama while she was running against him after she used a 3 a.m. ad. Then she, of course, presided over mass incarceration, super predators, all of these things. Then you get the fact checks where it's like Trump said 15,000 things that weren't true. Well, we can start with President Obama drinking Flint water and saying it's safe to drink. That wasn't true. It was still poisonous. Notice how there were no fact checks. None of the Pinocchios came out of the Washington Post on that one. Okay, where a NATO intervention is to help the people of Libya. Well, if that were true, why are there now slave auctions? Now people are being bought and sold in Libya because of President Obama and Clinton and Biden's foreign policy. We can go on forever. They're two sides of the same coin. Now they're going after William Barr because he's overturning and reversing and erasing the Muller probe from history. Thank God. Now, they don't look at it like, well, he did them a favor by not going after McCabe yet, because the Durham probe isn't over, or Comey. But they don't really care about Comey or McCabe. They don't care about anybody. Their whole thing is they want everything their way, and if anything doesn't go their way, it's a big problem. It's like a catastrophe. But here, un-American, Banana Republic, DOJ, Alum says Barr is doing Trump's personal bidding. No one cares what these Democrats think. These are people who are Democrats or establishment Republicans. Okay, these are people who are Democrats or never Trumpers. So why is it that your favorite Bernie pundit, most likely nowadays, not all of them, there are some Bernie pundits that didn't vote, that decided to vote for Jill Stein. You know, those are the ones with integrity. But if you're a Bernie Sanders pundit and you said vote for Clinton in swing states, and then you said also vote for Hillary Clinton, just outright, you were doing the same thing as Max Boot and Bill Kristol, who are the neoconservative theorists or foreign policy advocates that you pushed for President Bush, the worst president of all time, to engage in his failed foreign policy predicated upon failed, faulty intelligence, where people are just expected to say, oh, well, too bad. Oh, gosh, we tried. But he is reversing the Mueller probe. He's reversing the 3 years of wasted history by Democrats. They wasted 3 years of U.S. history. Check out my segment prior to this one. Now you have President Obama stating that, oh yeah, he's to be credited for the economy. No, record low Black and Latino unemployment, 5 million people being lifted out of poverty. That is a fact. Okay, Democrats pride themselves on helping people in poverty. That's not true at all. There was not a 3-year span where 5 million people were lifted out of poverty in 8 years of President Obama. Trump's first 3 years, the poverty rate went down, and from the total number of poor people, 5 million people were lifted. It was 43.1 million people living in poverty, and then in 2016, in 2019, 38.1 million. Okay, so 5 million people lifted out of poverty, 6 million jobs created. But here, I mean, you have President Obama trying to take credit. Of course, trying to take credit. What you have with William Barr is they're going after him in a way, of course, that they didn't go after Sessions. Democrats loved Sessions. Trump couldn't stand Sessions. Every day of his life, Trump made it an issue to insult and denigrate and mock and disparage Jeff Sessions. Why do you think that was? Do you think that you should trust the guy? No, of course not. Sessions was an abomination. He was the nefarious Keebler elf that presided over the Mueller probe, which they found nothing. So the Mueller probe found nothing. The articles of impeachment only helped Trump. The economy is great. And now you have they're signing these ridiculous petitions. You know, they've been relegated to signing petitions to get to William Barr to resign. It's so shameful also because it's not like they impeached Trump based on their opinions. They impeached Trump based on their opinions. They did not impeach Trump based on anything that he did that was illegal. Okay? Clinton committed crimes. Clinton committed you cannot transfer top secret and special access program intelligence outside of the United States government. It's impossible to do. She found a way to do it. But anyway, James Comey talked about no reasonable prosecutor. Now Roger Stone, 9 years in prison for what? For not telling the truth during an investigation where the main allegations were never found to be true. The reason for the investigation was the suspicion and the possibility that Trump worked with Russia. Then they got 30-plus indictments. Then they got Michael Flynn and Roger Stone. They set up and framed because they utilized, first of all, the 302s. We have no clue if the FBI officials are telling the truth. That's like an egregious, that's like a horrible law that needs to be overturned. You can't just rely on the notes of FBI agents who literally stated that they're going to stop Trump. Peter Strzok stated, "We will stop Trump." And he, alongside another person, was interviewing Michael Flynn. Then you had Andrew McCabe, who's presiding over the Flynn setup, whose wife received hundreds of thousands of dollars from Terry McAuliffe. But then they look into Trump and they say, well, Trump withheld military assistance because he was going after Biden. Now Biden's campaign is an absolute joke. Now Bloomberg's campaign is done. They're all going to just give their delegates to Hillary Clinton. They will never in a million years allow Bernie Sanders to win. It's not, okay, the Democratic primary is geared towards Hillary Clinton, Trump, part 2. Just like Rocky had 5, you'd have a better chance, Rocky 4, great film. You'd have a better chance watching Rocky 4 and having Drago win. Like if you bet that Drago would win, you have a DVD or VHS, you're like, this time Drago's going to win. That would be a better chance than having Bloomberg win or Biden win. Or Bernie win, or anyone other than Hillary Clinton. Hillary Clinton is going to be nominee. That's what this is all about. This is a gigantic arm wrestling match. On one side, you have Hillary Clinton, you have Bernie Sanders, and you have Max Boot. It pretty much sums up, and then you have Robert De Niro. This pretty much sums up everybody who's voting for Hillary Clinton. Okay? It's bizarre to think of it because Bernie was anti-war, and that's why I loved him. Past tense. And he was anti-intervention. But even when Trump removed Americans from a hot spot in that region, even Bernie Sanders said it has to be an orderly withdrawal. Okay, you know why Democrats dislike Tulsi Gabbard so much? Because Tulsi Gabbard is identical in every single way, shape, and form to Bernie Sanders of 2016. That's why she's on Fox News, because there's crossover appeal. 2016 was the last time that Bernie Sanders had a true chance to actually win. When I was saying he would have won the presidency because Michigan and Pennsylvania and Wisconsin hadn't voted Republican since the 80s. That's why this contingent of hardcore tiki torch people didn't swing the election. You had cities, towns, states that hadn't voted for... Oh my goodness, I had to sneeze. Okay. You had cities, towns, and states that had not voted Republican in presidential elections since the 80s. And they still chose President Trump. They'll win again. See, this is not just about Michael Flynn getting set up, because he got set up beyond belief by corrupt FBI officials. FBI officials infiltrated civil rights organizations. We can talk about what the FBI did throughout its history. J. Edgar Hoover, just look it up. Now Democrats revere them. If you could see, this is the thing. If the FBI and Comey and Clapper and Brennan turned against Democrats would have only contempt for them. They don't have a value system. They only gravitate. They were literally talking about Avenatti 2020. Okay? Avenatti is not doing well now. He could serve decades in prison. He's in prison or in jail now, but he can serve decades now for the fraud. He got convicted of extortion. I mean, this is the Democratic Party they're just petulant. You're talking about, how do I explain this? The most petulant, miserable imbeciles who can't take a loss and learn from it. If you lose in a sporting event, you need to learn, and then you'll win in the sporting event once you know why you lost. Okay? If you're not doing well in a relationship or in a job or whatever, you need to learn why you're not succeeding so you can take lessons and learn from them. Democrats, the way they work is when they fail, they decide to fail even harder and in a more spectacular fashion. This way, they won't have to look in the mirror and say, "Oh my God, this is a huge money-making graft endeavor." They make more money losing with Clinton than they do winning with Bernie Sanders. That's obvious. You think they would make as much money with President Bernie Sanders in 2016 as they do with Trump? Do you think Clinton losing to Trump again would be worse in terms of Yeah, it'll obliterate the Democratic Party, but they don't care. They're going to make a lot of money, and they don't have respect for their voters. They don't have respect for their voters. They just think that, it'll just be back to normal again. They can just, make everyone fall in line, which might be true. I might be giving too much credit to Democratic voters. It'll take about a week once they cheat Bernie Sanders completely, because pledged delegates are not bound to vote for, they're not bound to vote for legally. They're not obligated to vote for the person who wins the popular vote, which is why Mayor Pete has more delegates than Clinton, than Bernie. You're going to have Bloomberg and Biden. Well, Biden's done. Warren's done too. Bloomberg's pretty much done. They're all pretty much done. But they're not. The delegates are going to go towards everyone else, even if Bernie wins states. And then at the end of the day, you're going to have a whole bunch of people, about 5 or 6 people with a whole bunch of delegates. And you can rest assured Bernie is not going to be leading in delegates. And at the end of the day, nobody will unite the Democratic Party. And you had the other day, Clinton could be Bloomberg's vice president. That was just to inject the thought within the national consciousness of Clinton on a ticket. Now that that's been already ingrained in people's minds, and now that you know that Hillary has stated, I can defeat Trump again, there'll be some more subliminals and subconscious efforts to just try to, pave the way and get people acclimated to the notion that Clinton's running again. Because she will run again. It's either a day before the convention. She'll be nominee. And I'm the only person saying this. What's happening to William Barr, they just want retribution. They went after Michael Flynn, and it was the one thing that Trump did wrong. One of the things that Trump did, major mistake he made, was acquiescing and letting Michael Flynn go. He should never have done that. He should have fought right then and there and say, okay, show me what you have. Okay, so why are you going after him? He didn't speak about it. And if they wanted to get him on the Logan Act, they say, well, look at President Obama's administration. He literally campaigned on a Russian reset. Give me your thoughts below. If Trump had, and this is why you never give an inch to a bully, because he'll take your whole arm off. When, at that moment in the beginning of 2017, and I was on record on my YouTube channel, on this channel. Check out H.A. Goodman's other channel right now. I have a segment where I deadlift 275 pounds. But just a fun segment. But what should have taken place is he should have called their bluff and said, okay, you want to go after Michael Flynn? No, he's going to stay as my national security advisor. And I want to know exactly why you're doing this. And they would have, because they did the same thing against K.T. McFarland. And she wouldn't testify. She wouldn't plead guilty to anything. She let them know also. Say, if you frame me, I'm going to fight. And honestly, Michael Flynn, God bless him, he's an honorable man. He was set up and framed, and I understand why he pled guilty, but he should never have pled guilty. Don't plead guilty, ever. If you didn't do it, don't ever plead guilty, no matter what the prosecutor says, or no matter what the defense attorney says. Give me your thoughts below. Check out H.A. Goodman's other channel right this second.